ENFRA show. This is Professor Iyer, and with me is a very important guest, Mr. Sunand Sharma, an old friend of mine, an old friend of ENERTIA, and he is the country president of Alstom India. He is right now in Bhutan with me at Thimphu, and we are bringing to you this particular interview from Thimphu. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
So, what brings you here, sir, in Bhutan right now, in this particular juncture?
Well, I received an invitation from the government of the Royal Kingdom of Bhutan to attend the Better Business Summit, and I accepted that invitation, and here I am.
Right.
And I think we are both here for the Better Business Summit, isn't it?
Oh, no, I'm unfortunately not. I'm doing a special issue of ENERTIA.
Anyway, I'm here for the Better Business
But
Summit.
of course, we have attended the Better Business Summit over the last 2 days.
Yes.
But yes, going ahead, Alstom, I understand, has plans of putting up some kind of manufacturing setup here in Bhutan. That's what the news is.
Not manufacturing.
Okay.
What we have done, and we had actually responded to an inquiry from DGPC some years ago,
Okay.
that they wanted to set up a hydro services workshop.
Okay.
And
That means something related to the operation and maintenance and after.
for services, exactly as it means. That the present hydro facilities, hydroelectric power facilities which are there in Bhutan, and the future ones which will come.
Okay.
Whenever they have an issue or a problem of repair and maintenance, the goods have to be sent very far away.
Okay.
I mean, suppose we are the suppliers, they come all the way to Baroda, or BHL is the supplier, it goes to whichever location of BHL, and sometimes even abroad. So the idea, which is a very noble idea from the standpoint of the Royal Kingdom, is to have services very close by, and also from the speed of turnaround of the plant and equipment when it needs repair,
Right.
like runners, like maybe generators, or whatever equipment requires repair. So that is the service workshop we are building, and that is called Bhutan Hydropower Services Limited, which is a joint venture of 51% owned by DGPC, and we are the minority partner with 49%.
Okay. So,
And its location is in Gelefu in southern Bhutan,
Okay.
at a place called Chigmili.
right. So, what is the value of the investment here? How much is the investment done? What is the total value of the investment together?
Well, I mean, you know how it is with the, when it is a very privately held company, we don't normally release any investment numbers, but in the sense of when you think about large scale, it is not. But it is more, you would put it more in a medium
You want to
scale.
keep it a secret?
It has to be necessarily, because that's our agreement with DGPC.
Okay, no problem. So but I think in India most of the things are open. So
Yes.
I would believe that when Bhutan also expands and everything happens, the world market, everything
No,
has to come out. Public domain.
if it is a listed company, if it was a public company, then it's a different matter. But this is a private, two partners have set up a joint venture, and we don't normally release
Yeah,
that.
but DGBC is a public entity,
Yes.
as far as I'm
So
concerned.
from that side,
by definition,
They are the majority partner, so
Yeah, they must give the data
It is
because
their prerogative.
we have to
It is their
we have to take it
prerogative. It is their
out from them because they have to come with the public data. They can't keep it a secret. But anyway, that we will come up with later. But I want to know how soon this
there's a
facility.
difference. There's a huge difference, Professor Iyer, between secrecy
welcome, sir.
and confidentiality.
Yeah,
Sir.
how is
How
this?
are you? How are you?
How's everything going?
Good. He's interviewing me.
Just
Camera.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. No.
just 1 minute.
See you.
Anyways, technology can be
See you again.
Yeah.
See you.
So no, I want to know now how soon this will be ready.
By
What
the
is the
by the
budget?
end of this calendar year.
Okay, so that means it's quick and it
It's
will
under
come quickly.
construction.
Yeah, it's very good. Okay. So the second question is, it was not only you. I do understand that even Andritz has put up some kind of service facility, or they were planning something here.
I have no idea.
You have no idea about that. Okay. BHL is also coming up with. I understand.
I-
Okay, fine. So that means basically you are through this facility trying to help in the operation and maintenance and services part of it.
Help is the wrong word. It's purely an initiative of the government of Bhutan to set up a services workshop. If we hadn't done it, they would have done it, or somebody else would have done it. Anyway.
But is it always possible that repair of any brand or any turbine can be done by any manufacturer with any background? Like for example, a BHL, I would say Rana or
We have already done that in the past.
okay.
at
So
Baroda.
that is
At
an experience
Baroda.
already
It's
there.
already there. It's,
Okay, that is a,
mechanical parts are straightforward.
it's possible to do it.
Straightforward.
Okay, fine. Even electrical. then.
Even electrical, straightforward.
Even the generator.
Even in the service industry, entirely possible.
Right. So the other thing is, I want to know, how do you see the future for Alstom as far as, of course, in India, it's a well-established company. Over a long period of time, your factory in Baroda is quite an old factory. I think one of the better factories in the country also.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I want to know, what are your plans? With this, we have been now, I want to push the question. We have been talking about this Chinese coming into India, which has not only impacted BHL, but impacted every joint venture in the country. So we did a cover story on that.
Are you talking thermal power or?
Thermal power.
Thermal power. Okay, let's
70 gigawatt of that has come in. And that is something like 4,20,000 crores. This was ENERTIA cover story in February. So I want your views on that. We delayed our anti-dumping situation or putting up some duties. And on the other side, huge amount of these orders have been placed, although the machines have not come. On paper, the order is there, 70 gigawatt orders. And this is an RTR information. It's not an information which is not in the domain, because with that, we have got a complete list of these facts.
Perfect. Now, for that, I need to take a couple of minutes.
Yes.
If I take both our joint minds back to the year 2005 and 6,
absolutely,
roughly, let's start from that point.
Right.
Because ultra mega power projects or mega power projects and the policy related to that essentially started accelerating at approximately that time.
Right.
In terms of the private sector taking a keen interest in bidding on tariff-based power.
That's right.
Am I right?
Yeah.
So let's put a date there.
Yeah.
I can tell you with great honesty that many of the private sector players in India first came to people like us.
Okay.
They came to us and said, we are looking for 660 megawatt turbines, supercritical boilers, we are looking for this equipment. And they were working on a very, very fast timeline. The fast timeline was essential because the contracts they would sign with the government of India or the utilities to whom they were going to supply the electricity required them to have the power plants ready in a very finite period. I will remind you properly that in 2006, the global financial crisis had not yet come. Okay? That arrived in the end of 2008. When we looked at two things, as I'm talking, I know Alstom, so I can talk about Alstom.
Right.
When we looked at our panorama of order intake around the world, our factory shop loading around the world, and we looked at our prices and costs, any preliminary offer which you put on the table on a cost plus delivery basis was just not acceptable. We were either too expensive or we would take too much time. I remember one particular instance, I won't name the customer, but the customer called even me directly to say, but Sunand, we trust you. You are a great company and you are here in India and you have a service facility. Don't forget, we have a huge thermal service facility in India, which is servicing the entire industry. So I said, let me check, and believe it or not, for 4 times 800 megawatt at that moment, request made to me. When I checked, the earliest delivery period we could have quoted was 2013. 7 years. How could a private sector person wait so long? So partially what I'm putting the blame squarely is even on people like us for not having been alert to the speed with which the movement would happen. Number one. So you understand? After 2008 and the global crisis and the decline of the market in the USA and the decline of the market in Europe, the position changed. Suddenly there were order cancellations, there was more capacity than we had anticipated. And if somebody had come to me in 2008 later or 2009, my offering would have changed completely. So that is one logical reason. I'm very clear.
But I want to interject a little bit.
No, before that, I'll come
because we have just interjected.
I'll make a second point. I'll make a second point and then you interject. Then you'll understand. We also have a great problem with the whole philosophical problem of tariff-based bidding based on power tariff.
Right.
The moment you have done tariff-based bidding, you have immediately encouraged one thing to happen.
L1.
Lowest cost,
Absolutely.
fastest delivery.
Absolutely.
Now, if you don't place other parameters, such as emission parameters,
Absolutely.
such as
heat rate
parameters,
most important heat
if you
rates.
don't place all those parameters in position, but you say that is your choice as the utility owner, and now you can go shopping around the world.
Then this will happen.
At that moment, there was no other country except China which had that kind of offering.
Right.
And you saw what happened.
Right.
So your statistics also show that.
Exactly.
You saw what happened.
Exactly.
And finally,
we were warning this actually.
Finally, if the correction has been made, and this is still a debatable question mark, what happened? If it was not for the fact of governmental thinking to bring the NTPC bulk tender and to insist upon manufacturing in India,
Exactly.
If it was not for that, even we would not have been forced into working so hard, which we did, to actually discover that by manufacturing in India, we could lower our costs.
Exactly.
That's how we became L1 in the bulk one.
Got
That's all I want to say.
So now, on that, I want to further, talk to you. 2008, you gave the timeline, but I will tell you that our discovery in this entire, the RTI information that we have from the Ministry of Power and CA, in fact, that has come via the CA, is that 80% of the orders have been placed post 2008 of the total 70 gigawatts.
All right, that also may be. I mean, since I'm not privy to that report, but what I would
I'm privy to that,
but I
because
will react to that. Even in 2008, I'll tell you, our full awakening.
Yeah.
If you really ask me the question, and let me say it correctly, is financially at 10-11 onwards.
Okay, I can push. Okay,
I'm only talking about
Alstom.
I'm only talking about.
But that was not the case with BHEL. Because BHEL was
that's a different.
That was not the case with BGR.
That's a different matter.
That was not the case with BGR.
That's a
That
different.
was
I
also
can't speak for
not the case with L&T at all, because we are aware about what we are doing now with L&T. So with L&T, I would say L&T is a very sound party with the Mitsubishi joint venture. So you can't say that L&T was not capable of.
No, that is for the chairman of L&T to tell you. He must have already spoken to you.
We already talked to them.
Yes.
So
then
according to us,
their side of the story, you know.
according to us, this entire 70 gigawatt, I would say about 60 gigawatt easily.
Broadly speaking, we have as industry, as Confederation of Indian Industry, as power sector industry, put it on record strongly with the government that if you have gone ahead and encouraged so much manufacturing to come to India,
Yes.
it becomes the government's job to be protective of indigenous manufacturing first rather than allowing import. But there is a certain hazard in that. The hazard which I think on a broader scale in that is that many of the manufacturers may still initially do a combination of local manufacture plus
I
some
know.
import.
That-
So if you place a
Quantum
blanket,
of import.
I mean how it is done.
No,
How it is
maybe you
done.
can put up, like for example, you can say 60%
Yes.
of the things should be done in the country.
That is
you
a
can
matter
bring a
of,
benchmark.
that's a matter of dialogue and
Then the second thing, we have not agreed with Elman, I believe,
I believe there is a report which is there by CEA.
but that's too late. It's after ENERTIA report. That was after ENERTIA report.
I've seen that.
We have a front page cover story much before that on this whole thing. They came up only later. It was only parcels and bits and pieces of what we did as ENERTIA. I do not know whether you had the ENERTIA report, because we made it public and we wrote to the Prime Minister also.
I read it.
In fact. The second issue that I'm wanting to talk about in this is, why L1? Why can't you have a price discovery like you do? Suppose X number of turbines are made by, let's say, Alstom,
I fully agree.
L&T, and then call everybody.
Professor, I have been fighting all my life
This is a simple thing.
to try and bring this whole methodology of evaluation to a different domain,
Absolutely.
including life cycle.
Yes.
Because if you can't enter into, life cycle is terrifically important.
100%.
If you're looking at a horizon where 25-30 years is the minimum first life, and then a 15-year extension life, there are power plants which are running for 40 years.
Right.
And if you're looking at efficiencies and guarantees of efficiency and so on, critically important. That's one point.
Right.
Second point, which is completely, and maybe you should be the one who does it, is to seriously take a look. I have a very humorous question,
Okay.
which I ask a number of my friends who are in the generation industry.
Right.
And my humorous question is very simple one. I said, you have bought a Chinese power plant.
Right.
Have they written the manuals in English or in Chinese? Operator
Right. He will never
is
be
not
able to
going to
use
be
it.
handheld for 20 years.
Absolutely.
Number two, what happens if a power plant breaks down? Do you get it repaired in India or do you send it to China? A rotor, blades, something which goes wrong. These questions are not gone into depth.
Absolutely.
Another point which comes up is, of course, a very touchy one, which is about strategic intent.
Right.
That if you have placed such huge trust in so much equipment in state-owned enterprises of another country,
Exactly.
state-owned
I agree with you.
who are not subject to the same scrutiny
As you
as
are.
private sector and all of us international companies are,
Yeah, for sure.
then what is the question mark you have left behind over there? I leave it to you to discover.
I got it.
Then you say, overall, have they set up workshops? Have they brought technicians? What are they doing? If that many gigawatts, as you have mentioned, 67,000
Yeah, that's the
gigawatts are
hard
there,
record. Hardcore
then
record.
where is the base of service?
Exactly.
And that is a very critical point.
Yeah, and I
So
think
these
you
things,
put
if you
your-
don't bring into measurement, if you don't bring these into measurement, I think you're doing yourself a disservice. Because end of the day, and I have also suggested it to banking community in meetings I've had with them. I said, please, the equity investor has maybe, even if he's a majority owner, he may be 51% of 30%.
Exactly.
Because he can go with the balance in the public, or he can go somewhere with that money.
Right. What about the
So
assets?
he owns about 15%.
What about the assets?
85% is public money.
But what about the assets?
You, the bankers and financial institutions, have also a service to do to scrutinize this very carefully.
It will become a non-performing
You know?
asset.
So these things are there.
It will become a non-performing
These
asset.
questions,
I'm
these questions
constantly talking
definitely
about it.
need to be
These
examined.
70 billion worth of
These
imports,
questions definitely need
This 70 billion worth of import today can become an open, non-performing asset, and this will be on the banks.
As an Indian citizen, I certainly hope not. But the danger exists.
No, it is already happening. In fact, whatever has been supplied, the evidence with ENERTIA is that all those machines have trouble.
Anyway,
All of them have trouble. All of them. The boilers are not functioning in most cases. And then you're calling a BHL to repair it.
you have a much higher privilege than I have. I'm not allowed to look at my competitors. You see.
Don't worry, I'm very clear. But it was a good interview with you, and I hope that we will see more of you and on these kind of issues.
Yes.
We'll see
even
you
if I
talking
have,
vocally.
even if I have,
Talking vocally.
even if I have handed over charge from 1 April to Ratan Basu, very able successor of mine, I will still be in the community and I will still be doing something with the sector.
Right, and I think you must be as vocal on these issues,
Yes.
which
Yes.
actually are
Yes.
highly important right now.
Yes, and I apologize that we haven't met often enough in the
problem.
past, but
No problem.
you're such a wonderful person that it's always a pleasure to interact.
No problem. We are fighting for one cause, and that is the economic cause of nations, not only India. I would say let's work together for that.
Absolutely.
For sustainability.
Absolutely.
Why
Thank you.
not?
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
We'll see you again on the ENFRA show with another great guest like we had today, and on some issues relevant to India's power sector and also the Indian economy. Bye-bye for now. Prof.Iyer here on the ENFRA show.